I'm tearing up now. I remember taking my son to a community program, the basics of computer programming. And I remember it was inconvenient. There's no kids there. I don't want to go. And I said, Michael, if I'm committed, then you're going to be committed. He did an article and it brought literally tears to my eyes. He remembered when I took him there. And he said that was the start of my entrepreneur mindset. Oh my goodness, that blew me away. It's our responsibility as parents to put our kids in the right rooms.
Welcome to Everyone's Talking Money, where we get brutally honest about money, mindset, and making life richer. April, you started your first business as a kid, and now you are teaching 6-year-olds how to be CEOs. What do kids instinctively understand about money and business that adults tend to not know?
Well, instinctively, as a 6-year-old, they know that mom or dad or grandmom or grandpop has money. Okay. And they can get money from them. That's what they instinctively know. But they do know that they need money to do things, to buy things, to live, to have fun in their world. So that's what they instinctively know as children. But what we take it a little deeper. We're teaching them the basics of money, how to spend money, save money, and share money.
Junior Moguls is teaching entrepreneurship to kids before they even hit puberty. What's the very first money lesson you drill into them, and one you wish every adult had been taught before their first paycheck?
Well, one, money doesn't grow on trees. Okay. You have to earn money. But money is, not the know all be all. It's not just about money. Junior moguls, the concept is creating well rounded children, kids that'll grow up to be adults, that are creative, children that have strong mindsets, have great self esteem, that are kind to people. So it's a comprehensive program or system or academy that's teaching children that it's not just about money, but what we do with money. And again, most adults, they weren't taught that they should save money. They weren't taught that. They weren't taught. They were taught if you get $5, then you spend $5. But no, if you get $5, maybe you spend $2, you save $2, and you can take $1 and reinvest it. And you can shift those numbers any way you like. But we weren't taught as children the concept of money and how to grow money and how to grow wealth.
It's funny. I have 4 children myself, and they range from 14 down to 5. And for the past couple of years, I've presented at Career Day for their schools, and I talk about money and the work I do with people. I talk about the podcast, all of this stuff. And I ask them, when I say the word money, what do you think of? And 99 out of 100, it's very positive words. Like, they love it. It's great. It makes me happy. It's how I can buy stuff. Or they'll say, like, the investment, it's stocks. It's, the teachers are in the room during this career day. And then I also hear what they say, and it's the exact opposite. But there has to be a point where that shifts. We have a positive relationship, and then it shifts to a negative in adults. Why do you think that shift happens? And do you have an idea of when it happens?
Yeah, great question. So I think the shift happens when adulthood hits. Adulthood, bills come. As children, they don't pay any bills. They don't have credit card debt. They don't have a mortgage. The responsibilities of the house, the home utilities. But when adulthood hits, then all of those responsibilities kick in. All of those things, real life, as I call it, kicks in. And typically when children, they start earning their first dollar themselves. So for some, that could be at 8, at 12, 14, 16. Then the relationship tends to change a little bit. Because even as an 8-year old that has a dog walking business, that 8-year old now knows that they made this amount of money. They made $20, but they also understand they may have to buy treats for the dog. So they have to spend some of their money. So they can spend some for fun, but they have to reinvest some for their business. So it changes a little bit when that child begins to earn money on their own, whether it's a business, whether it's a job, then it tends to change a little bit because it's not, oh, I got this money. Well, you got the money and you know how quickly the money goes. You know the concept of, the cost of things. So it changes, I think, at that time.
That makes sense because when you're a child, you're getting this money, even if you're earning it, you're not necessarily having to, you're spending it on things you want to spend it on. So it's fun. Then as adulthood hits, you're spending it on stuff that's a whole lot less fun. But you need it. You have to spend it, you have to pay that bill to survive and all of that. But it also, using the example of the child with the dog walking business, well, you have to buy the treat, it also is teaching them, it's not like, well, that stinks for you that you have to buy these treats now. It's not, from the way you're saying it, it doesn't sound like it's a negative thing. It's a fact of the matter. You have a business. These dogs are your clients, and you have to make your clients happy and do things to enhance your business. So it's kind of money makes more money. You have to reinvest in yourself. And sometimes these expenses or these bills is just reinvesting in yourself, and that kind of takes the negative out of the bill or the expense that wasn't the top thing that they wanted to spend money on.
Absolutely. And I think our job as parents and adults is to make sure that our language around money is not pessimistic, it's not negative. That's important. Kids are listening when the parents are opening up the mail and, oh my goodness, the electric bill. Now, I think that we have to, be in real life. They have to know, of course, the lights just don't come on. It's not free to have lights, but it's the way they see us view money. So that's why it's important as, parents. And that's what, the system Junior Moguls does. It's not just about the child, but it's about the parents as well. What's the parents' relationship with money? What are their conversations around money? Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I get to invest in my stock. Not, oh, I got to no, oh my goodness, I get to invest in my stock. It's a privilege to do that. It's a privilege to save. It's a privilege to be able to reinvest in yourself and reinvest in your business. So it's up to the adult to shape and to shape that child, and to point them in the right direction as it relates to their relationship with money.
The phrases we use around money, we don't even realize how negative they are. That costs too much, or that's expensive, or we can't afford that. It's so negative, and we don't mean to. I don't think we mean to, but it's our internal feelings that we've grown up with, or it's just who we are as a person, and unless you're aware of it, you can't change it. So I think it's super important to enforce with the adults that, and it not only is it going to help the child, it's going to help them, right? It's going to help them have a better relationship with money. But the words like rich or poor, that can mean different things to everyone. And kids don't understand what that means. They just hear it. Or we can't afford that. Children don't necessarily know that the adult is probably saying like, well, I don't want to choose to spend my money on that, or that's not in my priority list of things to spend money on. So instead of saying we can't afford that, it's, well, I'm going to spend my money elsewhere or on something else, because a kid hears we can't afford that. They don't know the adult's referring to something frivolous. They may think, well, can we afford our groceries? Can we afford our house? Because to children, like everything's kind of equal. Well, if we can't afford this, that means we can't afford anything.
Absolutely. And you said something key. Coach to never say, we can't afford this or we can't afford that. There are certain, if you have a child and you are in a store together, the words to use is not, oh, we can't afford it. No, I'm choosing not to buy that right now. That's it. I'm choosing. So now what that says is that I have the power over this because it's a choice, and that now is internalizing that child to know they have choices as well. No, I'm choosing not to buy that for you right now, or I'm choosing not to get that all of 10 snacks right now. We're going to get 5 snacks again. And talking to kids even about budgeting. I think every family, you and your children, your children, I think parents should sit down and have money conversations or business meetings with kids, on a monthly basis. It can look like a summer budget. What's the summer budget? What are we want to go down to, to the shore, to the beach. What does that look like? Okay. Um, Susie, you take, what are going to be our snacks? Ben, you're responsible for the activities. Oh, and all of them are, up on technology. Google, how much does it cost to go to the carnival? And just to come up with a budget, just to start having those conversations about budgeting and money and expectations and planning. That's so important. I don't think a lot of adults as children, they were taught how to plan, how to plan. And that's how I believe you put yourself in the best position as it relates to financial freedom.
I think that's a great idea because it all comes down to how we shape the conversation. So you could say, we are going on this vacation or we're going to have this excursion and we have X amount of dollars to spend. That could be a lot or a little. The kid doesn't know. They just know, hey, I have this amount of money to spend, or create a itinerary for this budget and create it instead of saying like, oh no, well, we can only spend this much, or we can't go there because we can't afford that, or we won't be able to have as much of a fun time. We have to leave out this excursion. Instead, leave out all of that negative stuff and just say, this is the money we have to spend. And just keep it neutral. That's not good. It's not bad. It's not a lot. It's not a little. It just is. This is the money we have to spend. Come up with a fun day for us. And then give the kids the power. And then that way they can choose of, well, this this costs X, but that would eat up, more than half of our budget. No, that's not worth it. Let's do these two less expensive things and we can get more done with the amount of money that was given to us, right? It gives them the choosing power, the purchasing power to allow their decisions be thought about and actually allow them to be decisions versus the money controlling it. They're controlling the money versus the money, lack thereof, or the surplus controlling them.
Absolutely.
And I think oftentimes too, money talks in families is taboo, right? We don't talk about it. How much would you say there's a correlation between money is taboo to talk about and the negative relationship? So, do you think most people that have a negative relationship with money say that talking about money is taboo?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's uncomfortable. And most times people label things that are uncomfortable as taboo, or they don't want to talk about it. They run away from it instead of embracing it. But when people have a positive relationship, a more optimistic relationship with money, they're talking about it. They're even, excited about it at times. I know, if I learned a money concept, I would teach my children. I would talk to my children about those things because it was exciting to me to learn that. And I was very, I was very I was just so on it in terms of having certain conversations because I wanted to instill, I was intentional. That was the word I was looking for. I was very intentional. I think as parents, we have to be very intentional about what we're imparting in our children. Again, we're raising kids to be well rounded adults, and money and finances. Wow, that's the I won't say the foundation because that's relative, but that's very important in so many aspects of our lives. So having those conversations is key, and being intentional as parents, it's key. Letting your kids see and hear you talk about saving money. I used to play a game with myself. This is when I really didn't, I was a single mom and I was just trying to, really make, ends meet. I would literally save all the dimes that I got, all the dimes. I would take all the dimes and I would save them in the big soda bottle. I would, but I would show my kids that no, I may not can't save this amount of money right now, but saving is important. So I'm going to save all my dimes. And then that became fun. And then the kid, oh, I have dimes, mom, you can put it in. So then it became a family thing, and I'm not saving dimes anymore, but they understood. They understood that, and it became a family game and a family discussion.
Right. Well, you made a game out of it. It was let's find the dimes. We're only saving the dimes. And probably in your head, because it's like, well, that's all we can afford to save right now. But they didn't need to know that, right? All they knew was we have a game, we're saving the dimes, and that's it. And then it makes saving fun and you're saving for a purpose. And I always say saving is way more fun when it has a purpose. And
Yes,
by making a game out of it, you're setting the example of I'm creating this control and money is fun and it's creating a healthy relationship with
absolutely.
money, which is so important. So you've built businesses and you've raised a family. When you look at Gen Alpha and Gen Z, what entrepreneurial edge do these generations have that even millennials didn't? And how can parents make sure it doesn't get crushed by the system?
Well, again, we're in a paperless society right now. You know, a lot of people don't carry, cash anymore. Everything is on the a Zelle or a Cash App or whatever you use. So, they have their responses can be faster. They can have faster responses, and there's so many different resources that are available, teaching they can, about stock, about investing. There was a time where you could only talk about stock with an investment advisor or somebody that handled that, a big company. But now, people have access, children, teenagers, parents have access to, things online, tools online. So that is definitely, an advantage. Now, a disadvantage could be that because we're not actually touching money anymore, then it can become, less valued because it's moving faster. Currency is moving so fast right now. So I think that that's a major difference.
Right. I mean, your let's save the dimes game can't exist anymore. Right. I mean, kids don't use it. The kids use Apple Cash. I just gave my daughter $40 on her Apple Cash. She has no concept. She's 11. There's no concept of money. So it's I'm trying to do as much as I can to actually give her cash because she's my spender. She's going to spend every dollar she gets. And so I try to give her cash so at least she can feel some exchange for it, versus just holding up her phone and paying with the Apple Cash.
Yes.
But so what can we do instead? How can we create more save the dimes games with our kids today when everything's digital?
Yeah, and I think you can still tap into the digital savings world because that can be automated. There are tools out there that kids and adults can use to save. Where if you get this amount, this particular portion, a set dollar amount or percentage goes into a savings. So I think that can be automated as well, even in the digital world. So I think that's great. And this way, even, we're more visual now. So they'll see visually, oh my goodness, oh, I have $50, saved. but taking a portion of even what's coming electronically and putting it into, some kind of savings pot. I think we can still create those things. We can still create those, those fun things, fun games, fun concepts around money.
What's the link between financial literacy and self worth? And how early should we be teaching kids that connection?
Well, financial literacy and self worth, because financial literacy, that's understanding. I want to make that very clear. That's someone understanding money. Doesn't have anything to do with how much money you have, but understanding it. And the more understanding a person has about not just financial literacy, but about life concepts, the more confident they are. And the more confident they are, the more self worth they'll feel better about themselves because they feel like they have some understanding of it. Think about you have two people, one has an understanding, one doesn't. They both walked into the same room. One has an understanding of what's going on and one doesn't. The one that has the better understanding about what's going on is going to flow differently, is going to feel more confident. It's probably going to be more social, be more open to experiences and dynamics. The person that has no concept of what's going on when they walked into the room, they have to figure out even what's going in the room first. They got to figure it out. So that's taking up their mind space and their being space. So again, it's very important that we're being very intentional about financial literacy, because think about it, these children, and there's no early age. The earlier the better. You can start teaching money concepts at 3, at 4, and we just don't know it. A lot of children, they're gifted, they're still the piggy banks. Remember piggy banks? They still have the pig that's tied to saving. So again, I think, as early as we can start instilling these concepts, then that's better. The earlier, the better still. But as early as 3, 4, you can be very intentional about what you talk about and even the value. Because we still got to teach the value. A dime is 10 cents. A nickel is 5 cents. A quarter is 25 cents. So we're still got to teach those concepts, even if they don't touch it. They still have to know the basic concepts.
Well, if you think about what you just said about having an understanding of something just automatically increases your confidence. And just imagine we use money every single day, multiple times a day. It impacts nearly every aspect of our lives, right? To not have the foundational knowledge of it and confidence when you're working with it, that's just a constant, like almost like a hammer coming down on you multiple moments a day, every day. So you can just imagine what that does to someone when they don't understand money, or the financial literacy. So it's just these basics are just so important, and it just didn't exist when we were younger, right? The conversations weren't happening. Was there something in your life that happened to you, or what was the light bulb that came on for you that you said, you know what, this is what I need to do. This is my mission, is to educate children and help them become financially literate.
Well, for me, I grew up in an entrepreneur family. So my grandmother, she had businesses. My parents have businesses. So I grew up in a family where I understood that, and I went to college, I have my master's degree, all that stuff. But I also knew the other side, that it was important for me to understand business and understand money, because that's what I saw. Entrepreneurs have a different relationship with money because they're managing money. They have to make money. They have to save money, reinvest money. They have a different dynamic, a different lens. So I grew up in that environment. I grew up seeing, for me, it was large amounts of money being counted because the business money coming in. So that was, instilled in me from an early age. I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful for that. So it was kind of for me a natural transition. So what I'm doing with Junior Moguls is giving people something that I received, I gave to my children. They're well-rounded, they're successful in their own right, but giving that to the masses because it's not being taught in our schools. It's not being talked about in families. Again, it's still taboo in a lot of families and a lot of communities. So I'm just giving back what was instilled in me, but I was also able to instill in my children. And I'm like, wait a minute. I look back and I said, what happened? What did I do or what did I not do? And because I didn't do certain things either. I wasn't pessimistic about money. I had open conversations, but age appropriate conversations, but they were well-rounded, balanced conversations. It wasn't, oh, well, we don't have money to do this. Okay, 16, you want to drive? Okay, I will contribute half, or you want a car? I'll contribute half, but you're going to go work and then you're going to bring half to the table. Okay. So again, just instilling certain principles, being very intentional, but now giving it to, everyone so that everyone can have the tools that was instilled in me and that I, believe that I instilled in my children.
There's all different strategies families will take when it comes to these milestones, and usually these milestones are expensive. Your child gets a license, they get a car, they go to college, all of this, or even day to day with allowance. What are some strategies you think are helpful for parents to implement? You mentioned the car. Well, I pay half, you pay half. What are some other ideas that you think are beneficial to the parents and the children, so it's a win-win, and it's also a lesson when it comes to money?
Absolutely. Well, I'm a big cheerleader for allowance. Now, I do think there is space and opportunity for parents to give children money. I'm for that as well. I'm a cheerleader for that as well. But I'm a big cheerleader for children earning money. I'm a big cheerleader for that. So I think the allowance system is important. One, it says we're working as a family. So it's bigger than just the financial piece. The allowance is usually centered around chores in the home, or if the parent has certain, personalized chores that they need, they could use help with. So it's us working together as a team. So it's not just about, oh, what I can give you. No, this is a team effort. This is what you need to do to contribute to our family, contribute to our household. And this is what I'm going to do. So we're working together as a family, as a unit. So that's bigger than just the word allowance. This is about teamwork, all of us growing together, all of us contributing. So I think allowance is great. Also, I think one of the things, and particularly with my son, and he's an adult now, but I remember I tuned into what his interests were. Every child is different. Every child has different interests. They have different skills. They have different things that just kind of exudes from them. And as parents, it's our responsibility, I believe, is to tap into that as early as possible. I remember taking my son, and he was probably about 10. He may say a different age, but I believe it was 10. He's probably around 10 or 11 or somewhere around that age. And I took him it was a community program. It wasn't a lot because it was a community program, and they were teaching the basics of computer programming. So maybe between 10 and 12, and he went there. Now, he was interested in computers. I found the program for him in the community little program thing, took him to the church. And I remember it was inconvenient. Was it inconvenient? I was working right again. It was inconvenient. And I remember him coming out and he said, Mom, he says, I don't want to go. There's a whole bunch of older people there. Okay, this is him talking, okay, not me. This is him. There's a whole bunch of older people there, and of course, he's a kid, so everybody's older. Okay, somebody in their 20s is older, and he says a whole bunch of older people there. I mean, there's no kids there. I don't want to go. And I said, Michael, you're going to go. This is what you started, and you're going to go. If I'm committed, then you're going to be committed. And he went grudgingly the second time. And he did an article, and it brought literally tears to my eyes. He did an article, somebody did an article on him, and he remembered when I took him there. And he said that was the start of my entrepreneur mindset as it relates to something that I liked. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm tearing up now. I literally got that blew me away because I tapped into what he was already interested in, he was already good in. And I was very intentional about putting him in the right room. It's our responsibility as parents to put our kids in the right rooms. Someone may have a child that's interested in cooking or baking. Why can't they go and volunteer at a bakery on Saturday morning from 10 to 12? I know, inconvenient. I know. But why can't we have them volunteer in a bakery? Putting them in the room, being very intentional about shaping them and molding them. I'm a proponent of that. And no, everything won't always go, as expected as, a parent, but just, and I can go on parenting and, this is, very, very important, but parenting, being intentional about parenting and teaching financial literacy is being intentional as part of parenting.
What's the sneakiest financial mistake well meaning parents make that end up sabotaging their kids' future wealth?
The sneakiest, not teaching them about financial literacy, not helping them to kind of start saving for our children at a young age. If we start certain, I don't want to, go into the whole investment conversation, but if we start certain things while they're younger, letting them know what it is and even them contributing to it, I think that that can be, detrimental. Not setting them up early to do the things, buy their first home, contribute to college, their business. That can that's one of the ones for me is not knowing that we can start early.
If you have a child that just is a spendthrift. I'm thinking of mine in particular, my daughter. She just spends everything she gets. And I know it's important, obviously, it's important to save, spend, and have purposes for each dollar. But what if they just no, I don't want to do it. Where's the fine line of going, you are going to save a portion because your future self is going to appreciate it? Where's the fine line of like forcing it and then potentially creating like a negative relationship with them with money and letting them continue to spend and going, oh, well, maybe they're not old enough.
Well, children are old enough. I think it's our responsibility to push certain things. Like I told my son, no, you are going to go back next week. And it was the biggest pushback, the one of the most valuable pushbacks that I could have ever, and I have certain other ones throughout, both of my children's, them growing up. But I think that that is something that is worth pushing back because think about this, and I'm not just going to make it, personalized. Think about the 12-year-old self, the 11-year-old self. Think about that's the 21-year-old self or the 22-year-old self with the same money concepts, or the 31 or 32-year-old self with the same money concepts when we could have shaped it not force, shape, sitting down, having a conversation about why this is important and showing the benefit. Because if they want to spend money like that, listen, I'm going to put you in a position where you're going to have money to spend. But you got to work with me here because it's not just about you spending money now. It's about you having money later. Don't you want to have money later? What kind of life do you want to have? Are some things you want to be able to buy later? Okay. You got to take them sometimes to later because they're in the now. And I get it. What do you want to buy later? What do you want your life to look like later? So, in order to do that, yep, you can spend, you're going to have a great time, spend, but you're also going to save this particular amount so that you're now in a position where you can spend and smile and have fun and do all the things that you want to do. So, having that more transparent conversation.
As you mentioned, you come from a family with a rich legacy of entrepreneurship. So, how do you help families with no business background create new wealth building traditions from scratch?
Great question. So the program, the Junior Moguls Entrepreneur System, it's a system and it's comprehensive. And I'm taking the parents and the children from step one all the way to step 10. So I'm talking about money. I'm talking about legacy. I'm talking about money concepts. I'm talking about, saving. I'm talking about if they have a business, branding. So I'm talking about everything that's important to give them that financial foundation. And then the Junior Moguls Academy takes them a step further with the individual coaching, working with that family on an individual basis, taking everybody in that family, the parents and the children, from point A to point Z. So that's how it doesn't, you don't, again, that's the people that I want to work with. I want to, to pour into the people that may not have an idea of where to start, where to go. Because everybody needs help. Everybody needs mentorship. And that's what this is. This is financial education, mentorship through the system for children and their parents.